Hello and welcome to album review number 25. Today I'm going to be reviewing Close to the Edge by Yes. This was released in 1972 and is my personal favourite Yes album. Yes released their first album 50 years ago this year, 1969, and this is the second in a four-part series of videos I'm doing that of bands that released their first albums in 1969. I've already done King Crimson and I've just got Genesis and Van der Graaf Generator to do after this. I'm not reviewing their first albums, I'm reviewing my favourite albums of them. So obviously I've done a Genesis album before and I've also done a Van der Graaf Generator album before, but I haven't done my favourite albums of theirs. But this is my favourite Yes album, so I'm quite looking forward to reviewing this. It's the second album with the sort of what people call the sort of classic lineup of Jon Anderson, Bill Bruford, Steve Howe, Rick Wakeman, and Chris Squire, which was also on the Fragile lineup. And this is the second and only album that has this lineup. I'm pretty sure, because I think Bill Bruford was only in one other album after this, Union, which I've heard is terrible. I haven't actually listened to it, but I've heard it's terrible, so I probably won't be listening to it. But both Bill Bruford and Rick Wakeman have said it's terrible, so I'll take their word for it. But anyway, this is Close to the Edge. It's got three songs, and the first song is 18 minutes long. It takes up the entire first side, and that's the title track. And then the second side has And You and I and Siberian Cat True. The first side, Close to the Edge, begins with a kind of song intro that has been replicated many times by modern prog bands, I'd say. That kind of slow opening where it kind of builds and it gets louder and louder, with some kind of strange noises going on in the background. A lot of modern prog bands have done that, like Transatlantic did it and all of the above. I don't want to say it's a straight up copy, but it's definitely a kind of replication or kind of a homage anyway. And then the song just kicks right in, and it's quite crazy after that, for the next minute or two, with sporadic drumming, kind of discordant guitar parts, and manic bass lines. Another thing I really like is the sort of bits when it pauses. You get a sort of freeze, and you get like like that. That works very well, I think. Eventually that part sort of finishes, and then you get the sort of theme of the album, which is the dee doo doo dee doo doo dee doo dee doo 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 doo, which you hear throughout the song quite a bit. You get that, and then you get the first verse, which, well, I guess you could call it a verse. The song doesn't have like a traditional song structure. Obviously, it's a 18-minute suite, but the first what you add probably this verse is probably the closest thing to what you call it. Begins, and already the lyrics are absolutely crazy. The opening line: "A seasoned witch could call you from the depths of your disgrace and rearrange your liver to the solid mental grace." Like, don't pretend you know what those words mean. Okay, I've seen people online trying to discuss the meaning of the lyrics. Don't even try. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. It sounds good with the music, and I think a lot of the time Jon Anderson wasn't even quite sure what the lyrics meant when he wrote them. So I wouldn't analyze a lot of Yes's lyrics too much. It's not like Rush or Pink Floyd, bands like that where like every word is like dripping with meaning, or Van der Graaf Generator. Yes, his lyrics are more just sort of flow with the music, and that's kind of what Jon Anderson's about. So I wouldn't worry too much about the lyrics. They sound good anyway, and they're great to sing along with. So that's all that really matters. You get the first verses in 3/4 time, and I absolutely love the beat. The bass guitar and the drums work so well. Then you get a sort of a short interlude, and then the second verse happens, which is in 4/4, but it switches to this time signature, but it stays the way Jon Anderson sings in 3/4. He sings it like it's still in 3/4, and that sounds like it wouldn't work, but it actually does, and it makes it sound a bit disjointed, but in a good way. It sounds, you kind of need to listen to it, but it makes it sort of like it's two different sort of things happening at once, and it's very interesting, and it works. It actually does work that he's singing in a kind of different way. Like, the time signature's changed, but he hasn't. I think that definitely works. Then get a kind of triumphant, a sort of a get up, a get down part, then a kind of slow bass line, then this slow and soft, I get up, I get down part of the song, which is the third part of the song, which is absolutely beautiful. The lyrics are lovely, even though again I don't know what they mean, and the singing is brilliant, and the backing vocals are lovely as well. The harmonies from Steve and Chris sort of providing the backing vocals are really, really nice. Sometimes their backing vocals don't quite work. Like I think there's parts on South Side of the Sky where the backing vocals sound a bit too invasive. Like if you've listened to South Side of the Sky from Fragile, you know the bit that goes like la 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 la. It's a bit too loud. That it's kind of a bit in your face, but this totally works. This swells up with with church organs from Rick Wakeman, which for me is the only part of the song I don't actually like. I just don't like the sound of church organs. Rick Wakeman loves his church organs, and that's fine. I just personally don't like the sound of them. I just don't think they have a pleasant sound. And I say that as a huge Van de Graaff Generator fan, who a lot of their music doesn't have a pleasant sound, but it's in a different way. I've just never liked the sound of church organs. I just don't like it. It's a bit too noisy. It's a bit too loud. And I've played Close to the Edge at parties a couple of times, and at this bit, I've heard people kind of go, "Oh, can you turn that off?" Like it's okay up until then, but when it gets to that, people sort of go, "Can you turn that off?" It's not the melody. Maybe if they tried a different instrument, I really don't know. But it's a minor complaint anyway. After that, we get it kicks back in with sort of fast paced sort of rock with a sort of kind of bass line. Though he uses a plectrum, so it's probably like that. With some strange sort of wonky guitar work. I think it's a guitar anyway. There's so many strange sounds. You're not sure what instrument it comes from. Then we get what, in my personal opinion, is the greatest keyboard solo in all of prog rock. Rick Wakeman's keyboard solo here is absolutely unreal. It's so good. Every note is perfect. There's fast moments, there's kind of slower moments where it takes its time. It doesn't last too long either. It always leaves me wanting more. I'm always like, oh, it's over. I'm always disappointed. Well, not disappointed, but I'm sad when it's over because I just love it so much. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It leaves you wanting more, and that's kind of like the perfect solo. And when people talk about prog rock songs, the people who don't like it say, "Oh, why would I want to listen like a 10-minute guitar solo?" And I've never, maybe you could name one, but I've never heard a prog rock song that has like a guitar solo that lasts more than a minute and a half. Maybe there is one out there. Obviously, songs like Tubular Bells don't count because that's all instrumental. But you know, songs like this, I really don't know where they're coming from when they say things like that. The final part goes back to 3/4, the final verse. But this one's noticeably you'll notice more piano. The piano's much sort of plays a much bigger part in this part of the song, and you hear the din 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 din. It's really, really good. And what I like is that each verse, if you can call them verses, each one sounds different and has its own personality. It's not just like verse 1, verse 2, verse 3. With like kind of different bits in between. Every part of the song sounds different, even if it's like repeating the same melodies. It still sounds different, and I really, really like that. After that, we get the triumphant again. I get up, I get down, then a slow outro which kind of starts the way it began with the wee animal noises and birds and stuff, which were actually recorded by John Anderson himself. He took a tape recorder into the woods and just recorded animal sounds, and that's quite a experimental and quite forward thinking way to sort of create music, and I definitely really like that. Track 2, or side 2, track 1 is And You and I, which is a slow and kind of sad song. And yes, I do have quite a few of them. It's a lot of people kind of compare this album to Relayer because it has 3 songs. 18-20 minute track on the first side, and then 2 sort of 9-minute ones on the second side. This would be if you're listening to Relayer, this would be the To Be Over. Relayer also has a kind of 20-minute song that has loads of crazy bits, The Gates of Delirium, and also has slow bits. Then the second side has Sound Chaser and To Be Over. One's kind of funky and upbeat, and the other one's slow and kind of sad. Close to the Edge has the exact same. Siberian Cat Chew's kind of funky and upbeat, while And You and I is quite slow and sad. But I would have to say it's And You and I that puts Yes at the Close to the Edge at the top of Yes's discography for me personally, because I'd say Close to the Edge and The Gates of Delirium are just as good as each other. I really can't say one's better than the other. They're my two favourite Yes songs, and sometimes I prefer one, sometimes I prefer the other. But to be honest, it switched a bunch of times. For a while at the beginning, it was Close to the Edge, and I thought, yeah, Gates of Delirium's probably the second. But as I listen to Gates of Delirium more and more, I just love it more and more every time I listen to it. So I'd say they're both just as good. Siberian Catcher and Sound Chaser, if I was to compare them, I love Sound Chaser's experimental nature. It's like, I've said this in my review, it's like, it's almost improvisational. It's so crazy, but it's all the time signatures in it, but it sounds so good. I just love it. And Siberian Catcher, I guess it's a bit easier to listen to if you're not quite into kind of crazy or kind of that kind of music, but I'd probably say I like them just as much as well. But when it comes to Be Over and Then You and I have to say, and You and I wins it by quite a bit. To Be Over is a good song. I'm not saying I don't like it, but it's definitely the weakest song on Relayer, and it's quite a bit weaker than You and I. And You and I is absolutely beautiful. It starts off with soft harmonics, which I love the sound of harmonics as long as they're not used too much. Then you get a sort of strumming, sort of acoustic guitar, wee bits of sort of which I think is a Moog. Is it pronounced right? The keyboard, the Moog, however you pronounce it. I just love that sound, and ELP use it a lot in the Trilogy album, especially on the from the beginning keyboard solo. And John Anderson's singing is just absolutely beautiful in this song. It's so uplifting. It's sad but uplifting at the same time. And I think those are probably the most uplifting songs, ones that have a slightly somber attitude, or even quite a bit somber attitude to them, but have really, really uplifting music at the same time. Really powerful stuff. I think Iron Maiden are very, very good at that, especially in their newer stuff. A lot of their stuff is quite slow and sad, but very, very powerful and uplifting at the same time. Maybe shouldn't call it sad. It's melancholy, but very powerful and uplifting. That's probably the way I'd say it. Again, this song features wonderful use of the mellotron during the sort of triumphant finale. The song's kind of in two parts. It's kind of like The Camera Eye by Rush. It's sort of like you get sort of one half of the song, and then the second half of the song is quite similar, but it works as a whole, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I still remember the first time I listened to it. It actually holds it's a very special song to me and You and I, because Close to the Edge, the very first time I listened to it, which was in April 2014. I'm good with dates, so I can remember that stuff. My cat died that day, Simba, and that night I listened to Close to the Edge for the first time, and I thought the song Close to the Edge was a bit too mental. I didn't really like it the first few times. It actually took me about 3 or 4 listens to get into, which is quite surprising because of how much I love it now, but it took me a while to get into it. I was just kind of getting into prog at that point. I loved Rush, but Rush aren't... I mean, a lot of people don't like Geddy Lee's voice, but musically they're not very difficult to listen to. They're no King Crimson or Van de Graaff Generator, I mean. But I was just getting into prog at that point, and I was kind of slowly getting in, and the kind of crazier bits I wasn't really into yet. So I didn't really like Close to the Edge, but when Then You and I came on, I started thinking about my cat, and it was quite an emotional kind of moment listening to the song, because it's such a powerful song, and it's got sad kind of melancholy bits, and it made me think about him. So that's kind of like his song. I had 3 cats that died, and I've kind of assigned them a song that I kind of associate with them, and that's his song. So it kind of is important to me. And You and I, it's an emotional song to me. Anyway, track 3, Siberian Catcher. That's the final song, and like I said, it's funky, it's cool, it's kind of, you could actually dance to it. It's like a 9-minute prog song, but you could actually kind of move about it. There's not that many complex time signatures. I think there's some toward the end. You get like there's something like you get 3 bars of 4/4 and then 1 bar 7/8, something like that, and it just keeps repeating it like that. One thing I absolutely love in the song is the drumming. I think Bill Buford's drumming's so cool in it. He just keeps the timing so well, and the guitar work from Steve Howe. the song just it just flows so nicely, with sort of little interludes as Yes do, and or even the quiet bits totally work. Uh, and it even has sort of slightly sad moments when he brings the mellotron in, and it's sort of those bits are kind of very atmospheric as well, and I absolutely love them. Uh, anyway, that's Close to the Edge. I absolutely love it. It's difficult to put into words some of these songs, like in these albums, and it's difficult reviewing some albums because it's like I love them so much, and nothing I can say about them can like really express how much I love them. It's just kind of like it's more of a personal thing. But no, I guess this is more of if you haven't listened to it, or if you have, just want to hear my opinion on it. But it's Close to the Edge, and totally forgot to show this the gatefold vinyl. How cool is that? That's absolutely beautiful. This was actually originally supposed to be it's obviously a Roger Dean artwork. This was originally supposed to be the album cover. I guess one of these was supposed to be, or they made it smaller. I don't know. But Yes loved. This was the first album that had the Yes bubble writing and the logo. And Yes loved that so much that they wanted that to have like quite a lot of attention. So they wanted just a blank, well, green, just kind of blank cover, and they wanted the artwork to be in the gatefold, which to me works fine. I like the Close to the Edge album cover. It's quite iconic because it's one of the kind of Yes album covers that doesn't really have much on it. A lot of Yes album covers, especially around about that time, got loads of weird psychedelic imagery, like Tales from Topographic Oceans and Relayer, albums like that. They've got kind of weird stuff to look at. This one's just green and it's just blank, and it's sort of like the music kind of speaks for itself. It doesn't need a really crazy album cover. But again, it's great to see that on the inside. Anyway, that was Close to the Edge. Like I said, I'm hoping to do more videos of between now and Christmas, and I'm kind of glad I'm sticking to that. So I will definitely be reviewing a Genesis album and a Van de Graaff Generator album before Christmas, and I've got a couple of others that I want to do as well, and maybe another list. So I've got maybe about 5 videos between now and Christmas that I still want to do after this. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.